What's up, everyone? Tera Roberts here with Fantasy Alarm, and we are talking DFS bargains for Week 16. My bargain quarterback of the week is Daniel Jones at 5,600 on DraftKings. Jones is coming off a rough performance against Washington, completing 21 passes for just 160 yards and no touchdown. This was not a typical Daniel Jones performance. This week is the perfect bounce back week for Jones against a Minnesota defense that is absolutely awful against the pass. With his rushing upside, Jones is always just one touchdown away from a huge game, and this is the perfect setup for that to happen. At running back, I've been very anti Kareem Hunt in redraft leagues, but I am on Hunt this week in DFS at just 4,900 on DraftKings. The reason is that unless something drastically changes over the next 24 hours, the weather in Cleveland is going to be so bad that both teams might just completely abandon the pass. And if they do happen to do that, and they do happen to throw any passes, it is more than likely just going to be very short dump-offs. Combine that with some increased work on the ground, and I'm in. I'm not particularly in on this play on FanDuel because of the scoring differences, but with the full PPR format of DraftKings, this is a very interesting setup for Hunt. Another option is James Cook at 4,900 against Chicago. Chicago is an excellent matchup for running backs, but in addition to that, we've got another bad weather situation, and we can take advantage of these matchups where running backs could see increased work. Cook has separated himself as the clear RB2, and while his usage would amount to basically nothing if he played for any other team within Buffalo's offense, there's enough opportunity to provide weekly upside. Cook is coming off a performance of 5 carries for 34 yards and 2 receptions for 5 yards, but did get a touchdown. It's not much, but with his pass catching upside, it makes him a weekly threat. And if this matchup is fought on the ground, I could see this being a big game for him. At wide receiver, I genuinely never thought Brandin Cooks would fall into the bargain pricing, but he is 4,900 on DraftKings, and that's a steal technically. Cooks is questionable, but he's had multiple full practices this week, and he seems to be trending in the right direction. This is definitely a risky option because he has not caught a touchdown since week 4, and that was his only touchdown of the season. And he has failed to exceed 11 fantasy points in his last 6 games. But the Texans play Tennessee. You cannot attack Tennessee on the ground. It has to be through the air. And the Texans' best running back at this point is Royce Freeman. Cooks could definitely be a huge tournament play. And if he doesn't play for some reason, I do still like Chris Moore at 4,700 if Cooks is out and Moore is in. Another option is Marquise Goodwin at 4,300 with Tyler Lockett out and the Seahawks facing Kansas City. This will likely be a popular play because there's very little risk associated with it. Goodwin is the clear next man up, and he's had big performances this year, and the Seahawks will likely push heavy pass to keep up with Kansas City. Goodwin is a solid option this week. A riskier option is Demarcus Robinson at 4K against Atlanta. Robinson is the clear wide receiver 1 now for the Ravens with Devin Duvernay out for the year. The only problem here is that while the targets will likely be strong, the yardage will likely be limited, and Robinson needs to find the end zone to get success. The Ravens will likely push aggressive volume on the ground with Dobbins and Edwards, so we're just going to have to hope for a red zone opportunity that pushes Robinson over the edge. Now, we can't talk about Daniel Jones as a bargain without talking about his bargain receivers. And there's 2. Isaiah Hodgins at 4,100 and Richie James at 3,900. I prefer James, but both are fine options. The pricing is right and the upside exists for both of them. This game should be very different than last week against Washington, so don't go based off those stats. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them, and we've actually seen both of them have success in the same week, in week 14 against Philadelphia. And at tight end, we will stay on the same track and talk about Daniel Bellinger at 3,300 on DraftKings. Bellinger hasn't exactly been a high upside play since he returned to action in week 13, but while his volume has been limited, he has been consistently on the field, so the opportunity is there. The snap count is high. And in his defense, the matchups that he has had are not good. He faced Philadelphia and then Washington twice. Washington is the literal worst matchup for tight ends. I would only play Bellinger in tournaments, but he's a very interesting option this week. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to Fantasy Alarm, and come back next week for another round of DFS bargains.